Hello, this is Bonnie Tarantino from the Center for Integrative Medicine, and today we're going to interview Miriam Doyle-Baschat. She's a recent yoga teacher trainer graduate, and she also took a Healing Pathways class. And I would really love to share with you her story and go into what she's getting ready to plan next and create next. So Miriam, hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Bonnie.
Good, and I appreciate you fitting me in. I know you're leaving for Ireland to go back and see your family for a few weeks. Sounds really exciting.
Yes, it'll be very nice, actually. I'm looking forward to it.
Good. And so can you share with us a little bit about what brought you to the training?
Yes. Well, before I started the training, I had spent the previous 10 years in a fairly intense caregiver situation where my life was very much focused on not only caring for my family, my husband and my daughter, but also my mother-in-law. And so I was giving a lot all the time and was very restricted in what I could do given my circumstances. So that decade of my 40s was a pretty challenging one. And I also felt by the end of it, when I was coming out of that and able to kind of look at myself again and think about what I might want to do, I felt a little bit disconnected in a sense because I'd been so focused on the one thing. And also I felt a little bit lost. I wasn't quite sure who I was. I could define myself in terms of being a caregiver and doing things for other people, but my own life suddenly had seemed to have lost a little bit of direction. And I was, of course, coming in. I'm now in my early 50s, so, I was coming to the point in my life, too, where there are other big changes happening, and it's, I think, a natural time of reflection and what have you achieved so far and what's important to you and all of that. So I started to think about what I would like to do or why I am here on the planet and what contributions do I have to make from my own self as opposed to just being supportive of my immediate family. So that was where I was when I came into the course, looking at that and just trying to see myself from a new perspective, maybe from the perspective of how other people might view me, what gifts I have, because I had lost sight of that.
And you actually started off with coming to Healing Pathways.
Actually, the very first thing, the first class I took was Healing Pathways, but I came to Healing Pathways via a Reiki 1 training course that you offered from the center. So my first connection with the center was just a regular Reiki 1 class that you offer, and I walked in the door and I encountered you, and everything you said completely resonated with me. So it was every word that came out of your mouth was kind of lighting up. Books I had read. I'd even gone to see the same people as you speak. It was like I was meant to be there. And I felt extremely comfortable, and I felt like I was actually meant to be in this room at this point in time. And I had a lovely experience at the Reiki 1 training. It was beautiful. But I also left feeling, well, I want to somehow continue to be in touch with this organization, with this center, with the people involved. So then you had me on a mailing list and let me know then about the Healing Pathways a couple of months later, and I signed up immediately.
Right, and that's a little more of a deeper exploration of the Reiki. It's an 8-week class, and we do Reiki level 1, Reiki level 2, but then we spend time really introducing the energy center, going into yoga, and going into a lot of experiential techniques so you can integrate what you're learning. And so that also, I thought, was really helpful in really kind of launching you into your yoga a little deeper. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I had always loved yoga. And actually, when I was younger, as a young teenager, I remember hearing about yoga and thinking it was something I should try. But there weren't very many options at that point in Ireland, and I didn't really know where to start. And then in my kind of 20s, 30s, I just found a couple of books and taught myself some stuff and did things by myself. And then it wasn't really until I was, in a caregiver environment where I really didn't have a lot of time to do things that I started to look at yoga more seriously and took some classes. But I didn't really understand it properly. I was using it more just to burn up, physical energy. So I was going to a few classes that were more really about the exercise dimension of yoga as opposed to the whole philosophy of yoga and what it can offer you on a much larger scale. And it was only when I came to Healing Pathways that I began to understand that and connect it with breath work and with energy work, and with yoga as a way of life. And of course, tying it very much into the whole Reiki training, which was really wonderful. So the Healing Pathways gave me a much deeper understanding of what yoga was about.
And then they were able to encourage you to continue. And you had already developed yourself as a massage therapist. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. I had qualified as a massage therapist back in, I believe, 2000 from the Baltimore School of Massage, and worked for a few years in that capacity with private clients. And then as I became more confined to my home environment and I was kind of limited in the time I had, I really just did it, for friends and family. But I, at that point in time, as I was encountering Healing Pathways, I was also getting my license back in gear again and starting to do some massage work again. So I was kind of coming back into a working environment and starting up that as well. Yeah.
Great. And so what made you actually commit to the yoga training? Because it is a fairly large commitment in time. And that was a difficult thing for you because you were used to being available to your family pretty much all the time.
Yes. Absolutely, that was quite difficult. And to be honest, there was a component of me not feeling I deserved it. I felt that I hadn't been in the work environment for a whole decade because I had been at home looking after my family, working very hard, but not making any money. So I kind of felt really I should be putting my energies into doing something like that, or something that is immediately more productive, or maybe even validated by society. But fortunately, my husband has been very supportive. He also sees, the contribution I've made to the family as being extremely important, extremely beneficial for everybody. He was very, very grateful for the fact that I was willing to, help look after his mother. So he was, this is your time. You do whatever you need to do. If you want to do the yoga, that is absolutely fine. So that helped enormously. And then in my discussions with you, where I was saying, well, I'm not quite sure where this is going to take me. I don't have an actual, I don't know if I like yoga, but am I really cut out to teach? I'm not so sure. You were very encouraging about, does it bring you joy? Is this something that, raises your life condition, so to speak? Is this something that gives you something on a personal basis that really helps you with your life? And the answer was a very clear yes. So once I realized those two things, that, my husband was fine with it, that he understood that we'd have to make some changes in our scheduling, and that was going to be okay, and that it was actually okay for me to do something for myself. I think that was a very big thing. And then when I made the commitment, again, it was like coming into Healing Pathways, or like when I came to the Reiki 1 training that very first time. It was like, yes, this is what I'm supposed to do.
That's great. And so now you've come through this training, a year of training, 200 hours, and also, in an extraordinary way, you began to also start your next level of training. You're even, now that you're finished with the 200, you're in the 300, and it's been amazing to have you work with us at that level. So now, where are you now? coming through all of this? Who are you now to yourself? What's different?
Well, I'm definitely much more comfortable with myself. Before I began the training, as I said, I was unsure of who I am, why I'm here. I couldn't quite label myself, and I feel today in society we're often labeling people and things, and I couldn't find an adequate label. And that desire to label myself has gone, which is a great relief. I think for most of my life, I probably struggled with that because I was never somebody who I desired to conform all the time, but I never could quite conform. Everything I did was always a little bit different, but not from a desire to be different. It was just the way things kind of worked out. And I'm becoming much more comfortable with that my voice is my voice, and my gifts and my talents are mine, and I don't have to share them in a way that maybe somebody else would share them, that I have my own unique path. So I feel much more comfortable with that. Also, the fact that when I kind of listened to my inner voice and communicated clearly with my husband what it was that I wanted to do, and discuss things with people in the program, I was ready to kind of follow my instincts. Not think all the time. I sometimes overthink things and get stuck in my head. And I was willing just to take that step into the unknown and say, okay, this feels right. This is a definite yes for me. I'm not sure where it's going, but let's just go anyway. And I was able to turn what I would usually have as more anxiety into gratitude, where I would say, I am so fortunate that now I can do this. Look what I'm able to do. I have a very supportive husband. My life has opened up that I can do it. And I felt very grateful for that. I did not take it for granted at all. I felt, wow, I'm so fortunate. I also felt, I had put in a lot of hard work for my family, so it was lovely to receive that support from them as a thank you as well. I was able to receive that. Which I thought was very, very nice. And I would say to my husband, I'm really grateful. Thank you so much. This means a lot to me. I really enjoy this. And he would delight in that. So it really was a win-win, just being able to speak from your heart, but then to be able to take that step into the unknown. I'm not sure where is this going, but it feels really good.
So gratitude.
So I feel more comfortable about that.
Yeah, so gratitude is a tool that you would pretty much consider something you turn to. And
absolutely.
You can access it where it changes your perception of where you are and what you can do and what you have. Is there another tool that you feel like you access on a daily basis that assists you?
I do, because I completed the Reiki Masters training course. I do Reiki every day. So I do that. I give myself, even if it's a small Reiki treatment, I usually send myself Reiki early in the morning before I go to bed at night. And also if I'm struggling during the day, if I have any kind of obstacle to deal with, I will actually use Reiki symbols and send positive energy to that situation. And I find when I do that, that just helps release my need to control things. And to be more in the moment. And that helps a lot.
Yes. Good. That's wonderful. So, Miriam, you're actually, one of the things that I think the yoga and the Reiki allow for is a bridge toward the gifts that we inherently have and permission to actually begin to activate them again in our lives. One of the things that you did beautifully is you were in the mode of giving and caretaking for so long that in the beginning learning how to receive and begin to allow for things to happen rather than you having to orchestrate them all the time. Mm-hmm. And as part of that receiving and being open and allowing, you began to tap back into your creative abilities. And you have a very creative background, too. As I know you were you were.
I worked.
And you were.
Yep. I worked in the theater. Yes. Well, when I was a child, I was very much into the literary arts and theatrical arts, and spent all of my time in that arena, so to speak. I mean, there was no professional outlet at that point, but I did a lot of classes and participated in school plays. And then when I went to university, did join the University Drama Society, DramSoc, and was extremely involved in that, and formed a semi-professional company with DramSoc, where we performed productions in small theatres in the professional arena in Dublin. This is many years ago. But I was very passionate about it, and I really, really believed that the arts had this capacity to bring us to a different level of awareness, and I really believed in that. And then I worked professionally in theatre for a number of years, albeit behind the scenes. So I wasn't actually on the stage, but I was involved in creating programs for schools and for amateur dramatic groups, and then also working in the PR department, so coordinating with the press and coordinating with the artistic personnel so we could put together strategies to market productions. So I was, without even realizing it, working in a very creative capacity all the time. However, there was something in me that was not being satisfied because I wasn't really tapping into that creativity deep inside me, and I was becoming more and more involved in an administrative capacity. On top of that, I had all of my own stuff that I had to deal with, which was, again, as I touched on briefly, not feeling that I deserved to have, an opportunity to do this, maybe confidence issues and all of that. So I ultimately did not follow that dream to really work in theatre. And that was something that I carried with me for a long time because I couldn't find an adequate replacement for that. So when I continued in my work environment, when I look back, I had a very definite thread of communication skills and developing things, but it was really not for what I wanted to do. So I lived abroad. I lived in Germany for a number of years, where I taught English as a foreign language, and I also did translation work. So that had a very creative capacity to it as well, and I enjoyed that. And then when we moved to the United States, I actually worked at the National Aquarium in Baltimore and had a wonderful time there. But again, developing educational programs with my boss, and then also doing a lot of communicative stuff within that environment.
Yeah, and so this is actually a really good segue, because when you began to teach, it was very obvious that you were a natural teacher, that you really understood the structure of a class, how to engage people, how to keep them motivated. And so, right off the bat, you're teaching with at a whole different level. And now we're getting ready to launch your first Healing Pathways class with Jillian Phillimore in the fall. And I just want to, mention that before we finish up the call. And you're going to be, Jillian is, in particular, we're going to have an interview with Jillian, but Jillian is an opera singer who is an incredible voice teacher. And we're going to be using the Healing Pathways formula to activate some of those gifts within the artists in the community. I just want to get that in while I can as the call is coming to an end. But before we finish, I do want you to mention this incredibly magical and creative project that has become very important to you, and comes out of, I think, your new tools. So
yes, absolutely.
What are you working on?
I am working on creating a children's book, and actually, although language is something that comes very easily to me, that is not the focus of the book at all. That should be quite an easy part. The focus of the book is going to be the illustrations, and that's the bit of a stretch for me, but I'm very excited about it because I've always enjoyed art and photography, but never allowed myself to kind of go in that direction. And this book is really it's inspired by these fairy adventures I had with my daughter when she was a young girl in a beautiful garden in Ireland. And I've taken lovely pictures, and I want to use those pictures to transform the images into really magical, fairy-like images, just to encourage children to look at nature and see the magic in nature and the beauty of nature, and to, start to think that maybe there are things out there that although we can't perceive it with the naked eye, if we open ourselves to it, we can really get a sense of the magic and the wonder and the diversity of creation. So I'm very excited about that.
Yes, and what you just said, I think really is also about you, that you are in now a place, just from where I have experienced, where you're able to really see yourself through that similar lens of the qualities that you have that are magical, that interact with the more mysterious parts of our universe, that are delightful, that are creative and constantly willing to be a part of, change and growth. And so I just applaud you in all of your growth. And I'm so excited I get to continually watch your gift unfold before me, and everyone who has the opportunity to be around you is just feels very, very lucky and very, very touched by your love. So thank you, Miriam,
thank
so
you.
much.
I have to say, though, I really appreciate all that the whole group has done for me, and the Healing Pathways, the yoga teacher training. It's just been fantastic, and it really has been a group collaborative event. We all give, and we all share, and we all grow together. So there's real magic in that as well. I did not come here I didn't come here by myself, right? It was definitely the result of, I think you have to show up for sure, and do the work, but the environment is so supportive, and the community is so loving. It's just been an absolute treat. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. All right, well, have a wonderful trip. Wonderful trip.
Thank you so much, Bonnie.
I'll hear from you when you get back. Okay,
I will
thank
indeed.
you, everybody, and have a beautiful day.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.